And welcome everyone to another exciting adventure on the energy that surrounds us. I'm your host, Michael, and I have just noticed today the cell phone version is 1 second faster than the PC version. So, kind of interesting that I was watching the intro and noticing there's a 1 second lead. So, everyone on the cell phone is 1 second in the future now. Kudos to you all. Well, with that being said, I am so blessed and so privileged to have this guest on tonight. We were originally slated last night, but I'm grateful we were able to do it tonight instead. And you all are in for a huge treat. She is an amazing soul. So it is my honor and privilege to hand it off to introduce herself, the one, the only, astral traveling dream extraordinaire, paranormal Luna Rose.
Hi, everyone, and hi, Michael. Before we dig into more things, I just want to bring out a big thank you for this invitation. It's an honor to be on your podcast today.
Well, I'm honored to have you on, so it's mutual.
Thank you. Yes, so I've been discovering my mediumship more in tuned for a good year now that I've actually been practicing it with the public and friends and family. Prior to that, I've always been able to connect with spirit and in tune to the otherworldly since I was around 6 or 7 years old. That's when I first had my experiences. And I know with most paranormal experiences, it's always um, goes towards when you're a child because that's when you're more open into receiving messages. And then, as you get older, you get taught, there's no such thing as a ghost, there's no such thing as a spirit. So our senses, and most of our senses actually, they get blocked off into where we are unable to open our third eye chakra to receive messages and to see and to stop being so afraid of what's truly our reality. I would say the other worlds, but it's all together as one. This is reality for me, and this is reality for you and everybody else.
No, that's amazing, and that's something I never thought of. The insights that you were sharing about like the children aspect of it and everything. It's like we talk about the innocence of childhood and how their mind is programmed free for a certain amount of time. But yeah, there's so much more there than we realize, and it does need to be supported. So thank you for bringing awareness to that.
Yeah, absolutely. I just to dive in deeper so I can introduce myself more properly and how my mediumship began and my first paranormal experiences, which is when I was 6 to 7 years old. I was sitting in this house I'm in right now in my living room, and I was just on grandma's rocking chair watching a little TV show alone while my parents were cooking dinner. So we have two doors. We have a French door and we have a door leading to the outside, the backyard. So if I'm sitting in that position I was in, and I remember it clear as day, it's as if it's a flashback in my mind, something you just cannot forget. I Something made me lean back, and all of a sudden I was drawn to turn my head towards the right. There was two apparitions of shadow people, and there was a male and a female walking side by side going to the backyard. And as a child, especially when it's your first experience and you don't know what it is and you're seeing something from the unknown, I got scared. I jumped up and I screamed for my mother. And of course, she believed me, but certain people didn't. They tried to say, that wasn't maybe just your imagination. But it was there. And ever since then, maybe afterwards, I can also share with you uh, the apparition, one of them in our basement, that when I was a drummer, I caught on tape of a shadow man walking by my bass drum from, I believe, 2012 or 2014. And ever since then, just, I haven't been able to stop seeing apparitions. They just come as they go. I don't even have to call on them. They'll just come to me when they need to.
No, that's amazing. And I'm wondering, when you say like, especially seeing them around drums, when you're around your drums, if they're drawn by the beat and the rhythm of the music, and that's what is partially what's bringing them, is the energy that you're creating with the music. And so maybe that's like drawing them like a light with a moth to a flame sort of thing.
Yeah, absolutely. That could also more than likely be the case. There's so much high energy around us, and even if we're not in our own home and we're just walking about, it's energies everywhere and spirits everywhere when we choose to open up to it. Have you had any special experience as a child yourself?
I met some shadow beings when I was probably in my teens, and I would play games with them of letting them come through the doorway and over by the couch where I was sitting. And as soon as they were going to touch me, I would turn and look and be like, haha, I seen you coming. And because they would disappear when you put full vision on them. So it was like we had a game of, kind of like the indigenous counting coup. Can you get to me before I can see you? And so it's like I would see him out of the corner of my eye, but I would act like I didn't see him and see how close that they would try to get. And what would they do? Like, would they move fast, or would they move slow, or, would they try to maneuver out of, when I would start turning, would they try to stay out of visual range? But I kind of had a lot of fun with them. And then when I got into paranormal investigating, everyone started talking about shadow beings. Ooh, the darkness that they are. And I was like, you mean I was playing with darkness? And then so I thought about that for a while, and then I realized, there's two sides to everything, and it's what we kind of put out there is what's going to reflect back. And so I view the shadow beings that I interacted with as being light, fun, you know, kind of helping me with being comfortable around spirits versus, oh man, did I get lucky that I didn't let them touch me because they were darkness, and who knows what could have happened. So it's like I tend to believe they are what we, you know, perceive them as.
I am feeling from what you told me that there is a heavy ancestral guide that was connecting with you when you seen those shadows a long time ago. I was also seeing something to do with a past life and just a lot of maybe some certain shadow works from that past life brought into this life that may have been uh, unworked on.
Interesting. Have I worked on them since, or am I needing to go back and work on those?
That's part of the journey, your journey, why I'm what I'm seeing for what you're here for. You may not know it yet, but there's certain things that you're doing and you're on the right path. I'm seeing you're most definitely on the right path. So those shadows that you were seeing as you were telling me about them, those are your ancestors, your guides, and they're leading you on the right path as you're intended to be on. And I also see there was this little mimic or child projector just playing games, trying to have fun with you, like playing little tricks on you.
Yeah, that makes sense.
As for paranormal, I know there's a lot of think experiences. Are you interested in hearing any more before we dig into astral dreaming and more mediumship?
I'm sure. I wasn't anticipating this, but I'm open to it.
Okay, sure. So with the paranormal, there's a couple of times before I knew what mediumship was. Mediumship. I was driving into the back roads, and I seen a vision crossing, like a human had a white shirt and black pants crossing the road. And I turned the car around, made a U-turn to go back to see if this was an actual person walking. Apparently, there was no person there. So I was 16 years old at the time. And this was before a really big transformative change has happened to me within that following new year that was upcoming. And I looked online because I couldn't get it out of my mind. And there was a young, amazing soul, rest in peace to this person, that did, however, pass away on that road. So I was being told many messages and that I had to dig deeper and try to find a way to reach out to their loved ones to let them know that this person's still there and thinking of them. And I was 16, and this incident happened back in 2007, so I would have been 7 years old.
Wow, that's a long wait.
It most definitely is, and it was quite a shocker. It was quite a shocker, and from there, I started realizing there's no getting rid of this. There's nothing I can actually do to, just let it go. I just have to, something you have to live with. And I used to fear it most of my life. I've been afraid for many years. And just within this past year and a half to the year, I've been able to grow and not be afraid of that unknown and just to embrace it and to that accept that this is the journey.
No, that's really powerful, and thank you for sharing that because a lot of people, I think, look at all the mediums out there and seeing where they are today and are like, oh, they're always been that way because look at how comfortable they are and this and that, and they don't realize it wasn't always like that. And for some, maybe it was, but for some, like you're saying, it was like not the most pleasant unfolding and had to come to terms with some things. And so I think it's always comforting when people share that part because other people that may be struggling are like, oh, so it'll get better. Okay, maybe now, I can start to push and maybe embrace it a little better or be like, nope, still don't want to do this because I'm still not comfortable with it, and she wasn't comfortable with it either, and so it'll happen when it happens, and it's totally up to them. But there is some, I think at times we like to think everybody that's in tune had the perfect like upbringing to unfold this and how they're sharing it, and we don't want to think, oh, they had to go through this too. We don't think about that.
Sometimes we just have to go through we all go through transformation. Sometimes that transformation really hits home and you realize where your true home is despite what anyone else's beliefs may be. It's always within yourself what you see.
Right. And so, what, like, was it like for your, when the mediumship kicked in? I know you said you weren't comfortable with it when it first started, but was it like somebody just showed up and you're like, oh, this is a thing? Or what was it like for you when you first started?
When I first started, and before I met a wonderful lady and a wonderful group of people who are through Love and Light, um, I knew for some quite years that I was able to do mediumship. I just never dwelled into it or tried to, when I would summon in a respectful, peace, love, and light way, to call upon spirit or to help the public. That's my cat. Not a ghost. Before I would dwell in, sorry about that. the There was a special friend that I met within this past couple of years since 2023, and I've only known him for a good year and a half before he passed away. And this person was such a big person, a beautiful bubble of light when this person was in my life in this physical realm, that there's so many changes I made for myself within my diet, my lifestyle. And other than that, when this person, and he was highly, highly spiritual being. So when he passed on, I feel like he led me into, so I went on TikTok. And I was really depressed for a good whole year when he was passed away. He was someone I would always go to, someone I would talk to, like a mentor. And I went onto TikTok. When I was on TikTok, I came across this lady and then another lady. And I just was just seeking for comfort within myself, because even though we're maybe mediums, there's so many mediums that connect with other mediums. And it brings a lot of comfort. And I was introduced, she gave me a reading, and it was 100% accurate. And I told her how, I've always been able to attune with the spiritual world and the unknown, and to connect and to see and to feel and to hear. And I got connected so randomly with a wonderful group of people in the States that is also worldwide, with so many members in it. And it feels like family, and it's one of the most comforting things yet. And that's when I started to learn more how to use better protection and opening up prayer and protecting the people I'm doing mediumship for, and just my overall self and space. And then I started my first live video on Facebook to do mediumship for others who may join in. And I didn't think at first anyone was going to join in. I just wanted to do it to see if there's any energetic pull, if there's any messages that come through. And I sat there, and I did get quite a bit of people that came in. So I started with one person, then I did at least two other readings that first night on my live video, and they all were happy and everything was very accurate. And I felt so surprised, but it's this fulfilling, it's more than an emotion. This ball, you can't even explain it, that just lights up a fire within me, and it feels so warm that that's my purpose of life. Part of my purpose is for helping others and to be the light and to spread the love and get messages across, because without being able to do that, as I mentioned earlier, with an experience I had in 2016 where I was so drawn to that apparition and to Peter's story of this person who's no longer here, from a complete stranger to a spirit I did not know. It's like a burning sensation you feel in your chest. And when you send off that message and you receive it and you communicate, that all goes away and you just feel uplifted. It's an amazing, it's not a euphoric feeling. It's a feeling that there's been work done And that was the purpose, and helping that go more into the light or unfinished business of what may have been stuck here. And it's just like it's not like a duty that you don't have to do. So ever since then, I've been continuing to do live videos. I've been a little bit busy this year, but I try to go on when I can. And when I get the feeling I need to go on, I don't just go on just for the fun of it. I go on for meaning and purpose. And on the side of that, I do enjoy watching other paranormal investigators do their thing.
No, that's wonderful. And I'm kind of curious. It's like, I feel like I know the answer, but I feel like it's something that needs to be said and addressed because a lot of people don't think about is when you started your mediumship and started opening yourself up to everything in a safe way, what impact did that have on your viewpoint of like the afterlife? And did it change your viewpoint of death and the afterlife? Or did it just reinforce it and you're like, yeah, it was a blessing to have that validation?
So I was never afraid of the death itself, just the things that could just enter. So when I learned about the protection, when I learned about how to do things more properly from other experienced mediums who've been doing it for many, many years, then that really changed a lot of my viewpoint of life and the spirit world and how we see death, how we even see our physical presence here on the earth. Because now when I see people, I see wonderful souls walking around. And sometimes, even if there's a soul that may be of a lower energy, I still see that their journey has that purpose of whatever it is that they're doing, that they're growing from. And it's taught me a lot about not to fear the other world, not to fear certain guides or ancestors or whatever it is that's trying to connect with us, and instead to be a bit more vigilant, more open in connection while we protect ourselves to communicate and finding out the truth of what the real message is. And that's also what a very special friend told me. It's the truth is always finding out what the message is with anything.
No, I agree. And so I'm kind of curious how all of this your interests unfolded. Was it paranormal started it, and then dreams and astral travel kind of mixed, and then mediumship came about? Or is it a different order? And do you feel there's a reason behind the interests and how they unfolded?
So there's always a reason for anything that does unfold. And I'd say when I was young and when I first started seeing the apparitions, it wasn't every day, but whenever it would happen. Eventually, as I grew older, yes, I was fearing of when I would see them because I didn't fully understand when you're a child. You know that it's a ghost, and you think that they're supposed to be scary. And after I grew up in a religious household as well. So being around a lot of that light, I also had a lot of experiences visiting many friends or family members at funerals from a young age. And I know some parents, they don't, like my cousin, for instance, his parents never brought him to a funeral at a young age or opened him up to that. So I know some kids aren't opened up to those things. And I was one of those kids who were opened up to it at a very young age. Sometimes, sorry, cousin, if you're watching, part of that fear would stem from, when your cousins play games on you. And no bad intent here, no bad message. they try to scare you with little clowns or something for a
Right.
joke. For a joke. After that, with the paranormal, I liked going to cemeteries. I found them peaceful. Something was nice about them, even though they're a little edgy, a little off. And as I just grew older, I found a lot of comfort in it, even though it was a little bit fearing at first because it's the unknown. And then as a teenager, I was always attracted to watching ghost hunting and then trying to do paranormal investigating myself, walking into different haunted locations and reading historical stories and monuments of like families that live there and what happens, looking at documentaries. I love documentaries. Whenever I get a chance to read or watch one, I will definitely spend some downtime doing that. And it just unfolded into something today that I never expected would. And I realized that no matter how many times in the past that I would try to shut it out, it won't shut out. I have my boundaries and I can tell the spirits, do not communicate with me right now. It's not the right time. But there's so many other times now that if it's there, it's there. And I see it as to be honored to be able to connect with the spirit world and other universal entities and spirits. There's so much that, like star seeds, there's so much things to learn that's more deeper than seeing a ghost walk through a living room.
No, I totally agree. And I have to say, when you mentioned cemeteries, I love the synchronicity of the universe because I was talking with a paranormal team about how they love going to cemeteries. And I was like, when I go into a location, if there's a cemetery, 9 times out of 10, I will stop at that cemetery, even though it'll make me late. Because I'm like, nope, I gotta check it out. And I like to walk around and look at the symbols on the tombstones and look at the years to see, were they a veteran or were they, try and figure out what kind of life path that they had. And so I love that you have that as well. And actually, here they are. The Lone Star Mystics is who I was talking to about the cemeteries. So even more synchronistic.
Most definitely. I know many of us, I'm not sure of your experience in this part, but many of us who are deep into ghost hunting or how you call it, the paranormal investigating and astral traveling, a lot of us either grew up through rough households or got bullied or feeling unaccepted by certain things and just feeling as if you come to a point of maybe there's part of you that feels like you don't belong. I used to feel a lot of times that I don't belong, either like being a black sheep of the family or certain instances like that, not having friends, getting bullied often, and all of that crowds into you. And now I notice a lot of others go through that same exact thing, and they're pulled into the supernatural world.
No, I would agree with that. I'm kind of one of the black sheep of my family, and it's Lone Star Mystics is saying my husband hates going for drives with me because if we pass an old one, I'm always asking to stop and walk around. Talking about cemetery.
Oh, what's the latest? Have you ever been there at 3 a.m. in a cemetery?
I have, and sometimes I will feel a little creepiness, and other times I'm like looking at myself and going, why am I out here at 3 a.m.? And honestly, there are times when I think about when the creepiness starts coming up in my head. I'm like, am I really feeling this? Or is this because it's 3 a.m.? I'm in a cemetery and I'm supposed to be feeling this, and it's like my mind is creating the sensation.
Almost like curiosity bites the cat, and at the same time you're getting this energetic pull that you need to be there, as it's almost as if it's an invitation.
Right.
I cemeteries, I love the historic ones where they have a mass amount that you can look through and see a story. I actually didn't lose my keys in a cemetery one time, but they were taken.
Oh, the
Or they
tricksters.
have power. Oh yes, the tricksters took the keys, and I was in the middle of the back roads. I thought it would be fun, which it was fun, to just go for a little walk through the cemetery, check it out. I went back to the car and I reached into my pockets. The keys were gone. This way, I was so filled with gratitude that a mother and her children were sitting there. I asked her, "Have you seen any keys, or if you can help look for them?" So she got herself and her kids to say, "Hey, kids, help look for the keys." So I went alone in one direction while we dispersed, and there was a stone with a Harper name on it. And I did look at this stone prior to my keys going missing. And as I was walking back into it, I said, "The children of the cemetery, or whichever spirit it is," I was about to cry at this point. I was getting anxiety. This was maybe 5 years back. I said, "Please, this can't happen to me now. I can't be trapped here. I really need the keys back. Please bring them back to me. I really need them." And as I walked up to that Harper stone, reached into my pocket, the keys were there. And I looked around and said, "Okay." I checked all my pockets. Now they're there. And my mother was coming from behind me because she's also looking for the keys. Sorry, she was there. And I took the keys, I dropped them on the floor, and I said, "Oh, look, I found them on the floor." But no, they were in, I didn't want to look like an idiot. So I said, "Oh, they're on the floor." And then later I told her the full thing and she understood. But it was funny at the same time as much as I needed those keys back.
Well, and what's interesting is if you think about it, if you were in an old cemetery, say where majority of the graves were like 1800s, and you were to say, "Help me find my keys," I would think they'd be looking at you like, "Okay, but can you first explain what a key is? And what was that thing that you like arrived in?" I would think there'd be so many curiosities, but it's interesting that they were like, "Yeah, we'll help you get your keys." Like they knew what they were. It's like,
They knew. It's as if they truly knew. And there was also a schoolhouse that used to be there, and a bunch of children spirits that would play tricks too. So I asked each one, "Please bring them back." They did.
hmm. So I have an interesting theoretical question for you, and I'm not looking at expertise or anything. I'm just looking at your opinion. So everyone, before you get upset, this is all pure opinion based on experience, individual. But so let's say you were in 1700, 1800 cemetery section, and you're like, "Hey, where's my keys or where's my phone?" And they go, "Oh, it's over here," and they know. Would it be because the energy that they're in, they've become all knowing, and therefore they understand what we're looking for and talking about? Like the fact they understand our English, even though it's not their English, versus everybody else's opinion of it's amazing that we're able to communicate because they're like 1700s English and we're 2020s 2026 English. Not the same English, as much as people will be shocked to hear that.
In the spirits, in the other frequency of the world, there's no time. But in the physical world, and I know you probably know already that only in this physical world we live by time. I feel with what I see is with spirit is when someone is a spirit, they can see and travel and everything that's around them. They know it's energy. They can even spirits from way back, as you're mentioning, can connect through our laptop, connect through a cell phone, and interfere with that frequency on the energetic level. It is energy, and they can also see what it is in this earth, what is currently around, and at the same time they're living back in their time frame, but it's like time traveling, and they can time travel and they can float and fly wherever they choose to do. So when we're connecting with their energy comes in, and then they just swoop down and they can just interfere. So when someone's saying, hey, where's my cell phone, where's my keys, that energy, the spirit took, they knew they took something, and they're playing tricks. So they would know that this is what this person's asking for back, which would sounds like it would make sense that way. It's as if I took the hat off your head and I don't know what a hat is, and you say, "Can I have my hat back?" I already have it in my hand, so then I would, or I would just let you lose it.
You're like, no, this set's cool.
And-
We're keeping this one. Talking about time traveling and everything, I'm kind of curious too. When we go to certain locations and everybody's like, oh, this spirit is trapped here and this person is residually haunting this place and they're always here at this time. I often wonder, are they really a residual haunt, or are they living their life and the veil breaks, at that point to where we can see them, they can see us, and the fact of, there's no like vocal exchange, so to speak, that we can pick up is like, we're shocked to see them. I'm sure they're shocked to see us. And so that's why there's no like words being said, so to speak, is because what would you say if you're all of a suddenly, like, let's say, cooking dinner and you look up and you're like, who are these people in these weird clothes looking at me, and why are they looking at me? But why is it different looking there than what I'm used to seeing? I would think there would be confusion.
oh, most definitely. I know even so with other spirits of families that would reside in a household from a long time ago, when there's, think of maybe an Edwardian house, one of those old Victorian beautiful homes. And in today's day and age, sometimes with the development, depending on the location where this house is situated, demolition or something happens to this house, or huge renovation. And then there's more paranormal things that begin to happen because the spirits who were grown up from there are just feeling that anger. And it's amazing how they can feel so many things and connect in that way.
No, I would agree. And I'm starting to wonder when we go into our sleep state and we astral travel. That is more to me the real world than here. It's like we're free, we're able to do what we're, meant to do and able to do. But then now I'm thinking, actually, I just literally started thinking this as a paranormal investigator. When we're looking at these locations or cemeteries and tapping into the energy, are we actually tapping into the energy there, or are we sort of being translated into the astral and we're seeing that?
Like their timeline. So
Right.
time traveling to their timeline to connect with them, and they're wondering, is that your question? And they're wondering who we are because they've never seen us.
That, and is that why we have so many different types of haunts, like residual or intellectual or, just happenstance, so to speak, because of the level in which we're able to enter the astral plane can determine how the experience goes. By that I mean, let's say you and I, we're really in tune with the astral. We feel at home there. So we may have an intellectual conversation with this entity there. But somebody who's like, hey, I don't know how to get on the astral plane. Oh, I just fluke got on. Oh, I'm seeing someone and they're not talking or engaging. So we go, oh, that's residual. So that's what I'm meaning.
What I see is that it takes our energy and it also takes their energy, and we meet halfway. Usually there's spirits that, as they say, that are still roaming here are disconnected, and some don't even know that they're supposed to be across into the other world and that they're confused. And I also see there's a choice, since spirits and us, we all have the free will. Either they get stuck in their timeline and stuck from a traumatic event that happened with unfinished business. And I see so many other scenarios that it's either that, or sometimes they know that they're no longer physically here, but they choose to be stuck in the trauma. It's almost as if we're holding grudge on a person and want revenge on somebody, but we're stuck, even though, for example, yeah, we're sorry, but you move on. But someone is still holding that resentment and you're holding that grudge. It's almost as if the spirit is just holding that inside from that event, and they're feeling like they're unable to move on, even though they're moved on, but they're not in the light where they should be of peace, because it was a choice for them to stay where they are. And
Right.
for our energy, when we go to a haunted house or a cemetery or a bridge, wherever that may be, and we travel to their timeline, they're also traveling to our timeline. So we're crossing the bridge and we're meeting halfway to connect, and then we have the full story, or we have half the story, depending on what spirit is going to tell us, or they just show up without saying something. And then it's us, we're figuring it out. What is it that they're trying to show us, trying to tell us, trying to lead us to? There's a lot that goes into it. I hope that helps.
It does. And it actually is kind of ironic because I was watching um, a History Channel show, Hazardous History with Henry Winkler, where he talks about the old days and what all the fun that we had in the old days before today with all the rules and everything. And it's like we look at it and we're like, oh my God, how did we survive this? But one of them he was talking about on today's episode that I was watching, where they were talking about the original lawnmowers, the first powered ones, that there were no safety guards underneath it or no like protection for, if it hit a rock or something. And so he was like, it would hit a rock and it would be like a projectile of a bullet speed. And then it showed like the neighbor like falling over like he died. And I'm sitting there and I'm like, looking at this and going, oh my God, that's true. That totally could have happened. And then I started thinking to myself, as a paranormal investigator, I have never come across a spirit of someone who was like, I was talking with my neighbor and he was cutting his grass, and the next thing I know, I'm here. And it's like he has no idea he's died. And it's like, it's kind of funny because it's like, does that constitute a traumatic death because his life was cut short? Or do you think they'd be like, man, next life, I'm not standing next to one of those things. Lesson learned and move on, you know?
I see. You're asking if it's, for example, if there's a tractor and a farmer died by lightning at a young age, if that's based off a traumatic event.
Well, I'm just meaning like it's amazing, all these things that there are so many deaths that have been attributed to, but yet as we paranormal investigate, we don't come across them. And so it seems strange to me. It's like, why, if a rock with a lawnmower is like getting shot, I would think, hey, we should have come across at least one or two of these because people have been cutting their grass. But we don't really. And that just surprises me. It's like, do those souls just say, hey, I guess I was unlucky to be out there enjoying my tea or lemonade and unfortunately got that rock? Or what? I'm just curious, if you have a thought of why those don't seem to be as frequent as other locations.
Sometimes when we're connecting with the energy, when you're paranormal investigating and you want to go and try to capture something on the camera or hear a noise or hear or feel the spirit do something and it doesn't happen, either there's so many different cases, either that spirit could have moved on into the light and learned the lesson and is either could have been reborn sometimes or in a different journey in a different timeline and leveled up to a different part of the frequency. And sometimes they know you're coming and they choose just to not show up for whichever reason it may be. Even as a medium, when I connect to a spirit, they are either really responsive and they are very chatty and they want to continue communicating with me, or there's some cases where this spirit has. I've had scenarios where spirit tells me, "Go away! I don't want to talk to you," or sometimes it'll say, "I've had enough," or "Why are you here? I don't want you here," and that can be a little bit saddening sometimes because we're hoping for the communication. We try to sometimes we expect something out of it, especially when we're bringing a message or we're trying to find something. Especially in your case as a paranormal investigator, and you're looking to communicate and capture evidential things on video and camera. And sometimes also they know there's a camera there, they know there's something there, and they just won't show up, or there's a team of people, because I'm pretty sure so half the time if someone goes alone, then something may happen as well. You may have that communication for yourself. And I always say not to expect, because sometimes when we expect, we don't receive. And just going there uh, unwillingly and feeling what is around, maybe trying to even ground yourself more and um, really turn into that energy and try to see what you're being told, because it could be different for so many things.
Right. No, I totally agree with that. And I actually say the same thing when, if I'm leading people, I'm like, you got to go in empty because you could be blocking experiences. And so, talking about astral traveling and, the astral realm, I know a lot of people look at our dream state as traveling, doing work on the other side. And so, do you separate the dream world and the astral realm, or Do you view they're intertwined and they're really one and the same? It's just the experience and how we perceive the experience that differentiates a dream versus an astral travel.
So when we're dreaming, we're receiving messages. Either sometimes when you don't remember a dream, that message is irrelevant. And when you really remember a dream, there's a message entwined into it. And it's also part of that astral traveling because we are dreaming. And once we become more aware of that, we can expand our inner consciousness and I just say fly or float further to where it is you're going. And once you're more aware of it being ourselves into the other side of the frequency, we can start to learn to take charge again and take control of the visions and take control of where it is and who it is we choose to see and what to do. I've just recently myself learned how to control my dreams because a long time ago, when I was dreaming or astral traveling, I wasn't aware I was either even astral traveling. I wasn't aware that I could even change the scenario, change what it is I'm doing in this dream, in this vision. And when we astral travel, we can really feel our consciousness, our inner selves floating outwards and seeing a huge different vision. Have you ever dreamed or when you were sleeping in your visions, seen your house and seen what was around you? Or have you ever seen your streets?
I have, and I've even seen the city and the state. I'm one of those. I can travel off world, so I've seen it at different levels. So yeah, I've been blessed since I was a kid, being able to astral, and I never found myself limited to. Oh, I need the atmosphere, so I need to stay on this planet. I was like, what's out there, and just went.
For instance, have you ever had a sleep where felt that there was definitely something beside you and it woke you up?
I have.
And has it ever made you feel any sensations over your body or your mind? Like a headache, maybe, or like something's really dwelling onto you. Almost like a nightmare, but it goes deeper than a nightmare.
I don't know about nightmare, but there were a couple times where. Oh, hold on. Sorry, I thought I was going to sneeze and I didn't want to sneeze into the microphone.
We'll just say bless you.
But a couple of times where I would wake up because I would feel like somebody was next to me, and I would just turn and be like, okay, there's nobody there. And then I would just lay back down on my back and be like, okay. And then I would roll back onto my side and be like, okay, back to sleep. But we'll just whatever, you know. But there is that moment where I'm on my back, like, if nobody's there, what was there? Who's wanting my attention? And where am I being summoned somewhere? And so that's where I think I go back to sleep, is I'm like, oh, am I being summoned? In which case, I need to go back to sleep, because if they're needing help and I'm in the wake state, it ain't very helpful. So I need to get back to sleep.
Sometimes it's always, I don't know if you ever ask for protection before you go to sleep. Sometimes I do, sometimes I don't myself. Uh, but I find that it's so important, especially when we're opening ourselves to the astral world, even though we can control what we're doing, but sometimes we don't always divulge into what we're going to happen to be in that night. And even if it's something, maybe a nightmare or something's a little scary, we can always try to find the message through it while also having that consciousness of whether that is something bad trying to connect with us or something of the higher good. And usually you'll always know which path it is by how it makes you feel when you push the fear aside and you really kind of look into it.
Talking about dreams and astral, I have a question for you about something that happened to me quite recently. So I don't know if you're comfortable going there because
Go
don't
ahead.
really know me.
Go ahead.
I
I'll
just
write notes.
so I was in Nevada and I got a really bad sunburn when I was tubing on a river for 3 hours. There was CME and more sun than I anticipated, and so that was on Friday night. Saturday night and Sunday night, I could get zero sleep. It's like I would put my head down. The second I would close my eyes, my face would start to feel something, and I would just wake up. It's like I could not fall asleep. I literally just watched the sun come up. And so I was just kind of curious what you pick up if something was keeping me awake or was it really just the sunburn and just wasn't prepared for the sun, the intensity of the sun and to be as badly sunburned as I was.
And while I answer your question, do I have your permission to read into your being, to feel and to see what you were going through?
Yes. Thank you for asking.
I see that you went through a lot of swelling. I'm seeing a lot of redness, of course, because you had the sunburn. Something to do with your face? Was there a lot of redness and swelling around there? Something
There
was puffed up.
my earlobes were, yeah.
Your earlobes felt like they were on fire. I feel that part of your consciousness, like you were feeling really irritable that night when you had to go to sleep, but you couldn't really tell. There's a base of confusion that you were feeling, which also was stopping you from going to sleep that night. They're also seeing something to do with the moon and the tides. There could have been some type of astronomical event going on during that time frame that could have been keeping you awake. But I highly see it had a lot to do with that sunburn, whether that sunburn happened to you purposefully or not. Were you given any type of, through that night while you were awake and you couldn't sleep? I feel that it happened more between, I'm seeing I'm seeing number three. I don't know if that resonates with you, but I'm seeing number three anywhere between not even 12, but after midnight, between 6 a.m. before the sun came up. Was there any type of message, anything that you may have remembered that happened to you that night? Something you were feeling in your mind or feeling that you weren't alone?
It's interesting you say
Something
not
that was around
feeling,
you?
yeah, not feeling alone because I felt like the first night, something was trying to get in to my system and I wasn't having it. And so it's like there's a battle, it felt like, to determine who's going to get through. And I was like, you're not getting through. But they're like, yes, we are.
During that time, was there in your life, though, during that time in your life, was there something you were also going through that you were dealing with?
Um, well, I lost my mom recently, so somewhat going through that still. And I was meeting people for the first time, and so hanging out with them.
Because what I'm seeing as well is flames. The first word I got to my mind was fire, flames, which is why you got that sunburn also. Not just by bad choices. It was a mix of both. poor choices of enjoying too much fun in the sun, but also at the same time, the sun sent you, um, the world sent you that sunburn. Whether that was, and I had a message from you from your guide saying that there's, for you to take note, lesson is in the flames. And you seem to be a really fiery person inside. And if there's anything I say that makes you feel uncomfortable or a little too personal, let me know and I can stop since we're on a live video. I'm happy to always continue that for you later on. But I do see their message is lesson in the flames, and your symbol is flame, and it's funny to me because you're a Pisces, aren't you? You're a water sign.
I am a water sign, but I do carry a lot of heat. Yeah.
So depending, I'm seeing a lot of scribbling going on. Sometimes your mind seems to maybe race, but there is that big event that happened to you. Getting electron. I don't know. I have to see. I have to figure out what these codes are going to mean. I have to dig really much deeper into this. I do see highly that this sunburn did bring you a lesson overall, even if it just happened because of a bad choice. But there was a lesson in the flame. Whether that is because you're dealing with the grief and your mother's always by your side, or whether it is that you're dealing with the grief and maybe that fire is showing that you have that little bit of that anger inside. Maybe there's something you feel guilty about. Maybe it's not within your loving mother, but with something else. I'm not going to dig too deep because we're on a live video, but
No,
does that resonate?
yeah, I think I know where you're going with it. And yeah, I can agree with that.
I'm just, I have a lot of codes going on for you right now, and I will, if you're comfortable, I can briefly show it. There's the
Okay.
fire, there's the flames. It's really scribbly. I'm just going to show it just so people know we're being authentic here. I know that looks odd, but yeah, there's the lesson in the flames. So when you feel the heat again, and I feel you'll also have something, another event coming to you, and that's also part of the lesson in the flames, and you'll learn through that. And the flame is growing. So when a flame starts, it can grow and grow and grow. So your fire is burning, but it's not just through anger. There's also a lot of love in your heart and a lot of growth, and you're going to grow into this fierce, transformative fire of a light being.
I'm totally okay with that. Well, thank you. That actually helps a lot because I would hear myself as I was talking to my friends and going, yeah, this Nevada sun is apparently a lot different than the Texas sun that I'm used to, and there was something odd about the sun because of the intensity of the burn. Because I've never been burned this bad before, no matter how many hours I was in the sun, and so yeah, I was even sensing then that there was something odd about the burn. So that makes sense.
Did you ever try to ask what it is that it may be, why you had this sunburn, why you're feeling the way you do? Because if you have a lot of heat generating on your superficial layer on your outer body, then there's a lot going in within as well. Not a fire doesn't always necessarily mean bad. It also means there's a lot of love or passion or a lot of things that are going on emotionally burning up inside you.
Yeah, I could see that. I I have several friends that are going through things, and so it's like I'm feeling a little bit of I want to help, but I gotta keep myself back because I'm not a fixer. So I'm like, I gotta let them go through what they're going through, and sometimes some things get communicated off. And like, I had a friend who I reached out to around this, and she was like, "Oh, I thought you were upset with me because of this," and I was like, "No, I was being respectful of the situation you were in," and so. it was like, okay, we got to clear the air there, got this, and it's like I have a lot of things in the air. Some are mine, some are others, and just trying to keep my head up and being like, this is mine. I can own this. I'll take care of this.
I feel a
And
wash. Sorry to cut you off. I felt a wash of lightheadedness. You're really going through a lot. So I see that when you mentioned about certain happenings that are happening with your friend circle or people that you care about around you, that might be where part of the guilt is coming from because you feel you need to help or you want to be there. You want to help, but certain things you're just unable to clear because it's out of your hands sometimes, or you just have so much going on,
right,
especially dealing with grief too.
exactly.
There's that's the answer, the lessons in the flames. So that part of it can also be for you is with the lesson in the flames as you're growing into this wonderful being of light and you continue to transform in your journey and you want to help as many people as you can. Sometimes we have to be there for ourselves while we can also spread that ripple effect to help the other people that we truly love and care about. And just to be aware of it, that sometimes it's out of our hands and we may not be able to help a certain situation, but we can still be there to listen or to help in a certain way, but not to carry that guilt because that guilt will diminish your fire. That's not going to help you grow. And if it's out of your hands, you're not at fault for any of that.
Right. And what I find interesting is while I was there in Nevada, I would notice the sunburn getting worse and worse, even though I wasn't in the sun. And so I was like, it's interesting that it's like intensifying. And then I get home and it's like I return to my normal mode and how I do things and going with the flow. And it's like, oh, the sunburn started to dissipate. And it's like, yeah. And it's like I would say, I heal fast. And everyone's like, yeah, yeah, we can tell because I'm not. And it's being kind of funny. But now that I'm home, it's like everyone's like, oh, wow, you do heal fast. It's like everyone that's seen like the progression with the face, they're like, wow, your face is like already almost normal and it was really badly burned. And it's like, yeah, it's like I'm returning to my normal rhythm here and the body is responding better.
I am seeing that during that time too, and still right now, is it's more of a what happened to you is more emotional, more something within you, because how we also feel within our temple, how we feel within ourselves, will show on the outside as well. And I also have currently, there's a guide. There's a spirit guide that is always by you. It's a male. I see a male spirit guide. I also see your mom there, but I do see a male spirit guide that's there, something to do with the left side of your body, the left side of your shoulder, watching over you and guiding you into when you make your when you make your choices. And whatever, even though there's things from the present, anything that may have built up for you to this day that could have been when you were a child or when you were a teenager, young adult, anything in your whole lifetime in this physical body that you're with, that can also lead up to certain events that show on the outside, if that makes sense.
It does, actually.
Have you ever been hurt? If you're comfortable, you don't have to answer. But have you ever been, like when you were younger, did you ever go through things that brought you pain?
Many a times.
I'm not going to mention exactly what I'm seeing because I'm not going to trigger anything, but I'm just seeing there's some, and I'm feeling tears wash me right now. I feel like crying, but I'm seeing an orb through my left eye, but there's something that happened to you. You may have learned to live with it, but it's still there.
Yeah, that makes sense. I can definitely take that.
I just didn't want to get too deep with that, but that could
No,
also.
I appreciate that. 'Cause, yeah, it's never a good show when the guest and the host are crying and it's like stop fast and it's like this must be fun.
But
What
it's also
happened?
a release. It's also something good because now you can be more present and aware and to grow from that. So it's a wonderful thing.
It is, and I have enough to where I can like piece together where it's going and what's coming up and some stuff that I've been toying with in my mind of trying to figure out that I'm like, yeah, I think I got it now and I think I know how I'm gonna progress with it and take it step by step. And so thank you.
You're most definitely welcome. And out of another coincidence to hear today, here, folks, as we talk about the sun and sunburns, I happen to wear the sun on my sleeve, so there must be some meaning to that.
Yeah,
Um, but yeah, astral traveling and dreaming and mediumship, paranormal, everything is just so entwined. It's the same world, we're just on a different level, and there's different ways of traveling and things of the unseen.
very true. And if I'm not mistaken, you do art as well.
I do.
And you did a phenomenal job on the thumbnail.
Thank you.
I was like surprised. No guest has ever like taken the thumbnail that I sent him and said, "Hey, well, what do you think of this one?" And so I was quite surprised, and I was like, "Man, that was really cool." And I was like, "Yeah, let's use it." And so I honor you for that. And
Thank
I'm curious how much of your mediumship and how much of the paranormal, astral, and dreams, all of your world, how do how does that get intertwined with your art? Or do you kind of view the art as a separate outlet and you're like, yep, let's keep these worlds separate?
I I guess I'm more of a person that goes with the flow. So I can just introduce you this painting right here that's behind me. It's not finished. It's called the Gates of Heaven. And the work I like to do is through my visions and through the highest good and through love and light. I never want to paint something of a lower dissension or dimension. And this is my angel. She represents many things: the gates of heaven, love, light, peace, energy, hope, going through grief, being guided through the earth. She's floating through the clouds and she is filled with strength and femininity and courage. And she is just there as a beautiful light piece that's just sitting there and blessing yourself as you go to sleep or bringing more energy of goodness into the household.
I can definitely see a lot of you in the angel.
Thank you. This is my first angel piece. Actually, I haven't actually painted an angel before, and it's my first piece that I've ever done that was of this length of a size. I also like to do art of nature, and I love painting. I like drawing caricatures. Sometimes I'll draw people's faces, which I'm getting more into. But when I draw the visions, I just draw what makes me feel good, what I see, either that's spiritual or not. But everything in this world is spiritual. So I'd say even the palm trees and the dolphins that I do, or the mirrors I create, have a piece of life in them. Which
No,
I feel that everybody's artistic ways have life in them.
that's very true. And I gotta say, for that being your first angel, I'm in awe because it's like the second I saw it, I was like, even before you pointed it out, I was like, that's a cool angel painting. I would never have known it wasn't done.
No, it's not done. I'm actually going to add some gold foil pieces to make it shine more. Once it's done, I'll definitely tag you in it if you'd like.
Sure. I'd love that because, yeah, that's an amazing piece. And I love the detail in the wings that it's like
I'll show you closer.
definitely, it's like it's not the feathery like they show you in the church viewpoint, but you can definitely tell it is a wing.
I'd say the wings were probably the most, other than the feet, were the most challenging part. A little bit. But then after a while, I just kept adding and adding. But it has so much more work in life to give it before it's completed.
No, wow, I gotta commend you. That is a really incredible piece.
I started it last year, actually. I know it's been a long time. I've done so many other mirrors and paintings, and once I get into it, I can't stop, and I just keep going.
No, that's the way it should be. You know, it. I like to operate in what I call the divine time. And if something takes me 10 minutes, it takes me 10 minutes. If something takes me 2 years, it takes me 2 years. It's whatever timing it's meant to be. And so don't ever sit there and go, oh my God, I'm never going to finish this because it's already been a year. Don't ever look at it that way. Just look at it as when the time is right, that's when it'll be done. Don't ever rush it.
No, rushing isn't good. I think that's when we make more mistakes. I mean, does art have mistakes? I'd say not, but
No, it really doesn't.
no, and
And
it feels like sometimes you make a little error and then you want to wash it over, fix it.
I like the flaws in things because it just like, when I do my shows, everybody always asks me like, do you pre-record so you can take any glitches out or anything? And I'm like, no, I want the glitches because or if I flub up something, I want that in because it reminds everyone that's watching I'm human. I make mistakes. I don't want a perfect, pristine show because I'm like, I just feel like it loses something with that. I'm like, I want the errors if there's ever any in there,
Oh,
or
definitely.
if something's not like if I'll go to say something and I can't say it, I'm like, I want that. I want that humanistic in it.
I totally agree with you. And a lot of the, I'm not even going to say it's a trend. I feel that would just be so foul in my mouth to say it's a trend. But with all the AI stuff going on, people are leaning towards seeing more hands on art because people are getting so tired of the AI. And you can never tell if something is real or not on the internet, of course.
No, I agree, and I almost think it's kind of humorous in a way to hear you say, because the AI art is like still considered the new fad, and for you to say people are getting tired of it, it's like, wow, that was like a short fad. It's like
For some things,
literally
I feel
just
like
launched.
like the art behind you, that's beautiful. I love the dragon and the UFO and the wolf and the mountains and the clouds. I think sometimes AI can help you with certain things or give you a good help to an idea if you're having trouble or stuck on something. But it's also wonderful to be able to just encode with our divine timing when we get those answers to finish a project. So we
Yeah.
can
And,
continue as the beings that we are to use our minds and to strengthen that. But at the same time, AI can also be good and it can also have its effects. But yeah, I did do the research a little bit back and I was seeing certain comments of people actually putting out there that they're tired of AI and the new trend, or and maybe it's 50-50. Half people want that realism and that human touch, but a lot of that's really coming out.
well, I think it has to do with how it's used too, because they're starting to say like some of the actors are coming forward and are being told, and they're admitting this in public interviews of, hey, you can be in this movie and get paid, or you can be in this movie and not get paid because we'll use an AI generation of your self and put that in there instead. And it's like, that's a crummy career choice, but that's the career you're in. So, yeah, good luck to you because, oh, but like you're saying, not being able to know. I started thinking about this the other day after I heard this, a few actors saying this. When we go and say, I loved this actor until he did this movie. And in this movie, he was just downright awful. And now I go, well, was that because that was an AI version of him? Or was it bad writing and they did the best they could with it? I don't know. But it's like, it begs the question now. Some of these really great actors that have these one in a million flops. I mean, yeah, nobody's perfect, but if it's AI and that's why it flopped, then there's a reason for that. And will it continue, or will they sit there and go, nope, we can't use AI because the movies are not the same?
I'm also wondering, since we're talking more about AI and through this whole show tonight with the paranormal, how is the paranormal feeling, or if they notice when they could, because the paranormal, when we talk about it and when we connect to spirit, sometimes they connect through us on many times through a radio or a TV or a phone or laptop, and like any electronic device. How is the AI going to interfere when we communicate with the spirit world, because that can easily manipulate into demonic energy if we really think about it, and we need to be more aware of what we're connecting with.
No, I totally agree. And
Into my
I,
mind.
I'm always like, I have actually found myself lately trying to use less technology and more of the natural body senses. Like when I investigate, going, what do I feel? What do I sense? What do I hear? What, all my senses firing in this moment. What's going on versus, oh, I got this on an app. Look at what they said. And I'm like, I don't know. Did they say that? Or is that AI? And so I'm like, yeah. And so it's kind of interesting, you bring that up because I've like kind of unofficially, like without even thinking about it, started using less and less. Like if I do use tech, one of my favorite tech pieces is cat balls. And it's like hard for AI to manipulate it, but I'm sure it could find a way to manipulate it if it wanted to.
And I wonder if that will even have spirits, because when spirit connects to us, it takes a lot of energy, just as it does for us to connect with them. And even when they go through the electronic devices, because I know there's stuff in the electronic devices that maybe makes it easier for the energies to get in, to connect, to interfere. But with the AI or anything superficial that's progressed, it's just having me wonder even deeper if anything you get through that will be more difficult when you communicate. So, as you mentioned, it's best to do things more naturally, other than those EVP machines, EMF readers, if you have
Are you
one.
talking about the K2s?
Yes, I believe I am. I don't have any. I'm trying to remember the name.
The one that has like the 5 colored dots on the top?
Yes, those ones.
Yeah.
Other than those, because I know so many, especially the young generation, when you're a teenager or whatnot, and you're on a cell phone, you download those Randonautica apps, or there's certain apps that people download to get words. And I hear that actually comes from a radio system. Sometimes it's just random words that's spurred out and may not even be accurate, even though it can be interesting. But you it's something you really need to be careful with. And I tell a lot of people that if you
Yeah.
use it, be very careful with what you do.
So I was excited when I got my first Ovilus, and it was a device that was supposed to be for EVPs. And I used it once, and after that one time, it never worked. After that, it's like I had to keep it plugged in to a battery source, otherwise, it doesn't work. And I was like, that is bizarre. And it was only at one haunted location. And so I was like, man, that's just messed up. But then it was like I also started realizing, you know, the Ovilus has a certain amount of words built into it. And so, yeah, it's going to cycle through the words. So, is it really active and communicating? I don't know. But there are some apps that I've used, and I'm like, yeah, no, this is completely random. Yeah, I'm going to stop using this. And there are some that I will turn on occasion because I'm getting like full sentence, and I'm like, this is different from anything else. And what is, does this sentence pertain to something? And I'll always look at the log of what came through and be like, if I'm separate from someone, be like, hey, does this match anything for you guys? And if they're like, yeah, actually, I'm like, cool. So our guy was talking to you over here, over here, and they're like, well, that's interesting. I'm like, yeah. Or if it pertains to nobody, I'm just like, okay. And I just turn it off and I'm like, yeah, nothing's there. And I'll just play the game of 20 questions again. And I always will laugh with people when they ask me, like, what's the, best way to describe if you can do paranormal investigating or not. And I'll go, I just kind of chuckle and I'll raise my head up and I'll be like, so if you can talk to yourself for like 15 minutes to 45 minutes, having a conversation just with yourself and asking questions to yourself, you can do paranormal investigating. And they're like, what? I'm like, yeah, see, that's how EVPs work. We talk to the air, we wait for a response from the air, we act like we got a response from the air, and we ask something else or go deeper into something. And I'm like, all of this is based on maybe getting a response. And so it's like, yeah, if you're going to sit there and start laughing and being like, nope, I cannot have a conversation with myself like this, yeah, you're not going to cut it as a paranormal investigator because that's what we do a lot is we sit. and quiet with just ourselves. And God, just listening to that right now makes me think, how are there not more of us in a nut house?
I don't know if you've ever, how about I actually don't say this? No, we're not going to bring any ideas to the live chat here. uh, while you were talking, there definitely was an energy. I don't know if anyone else in the room noticed, but we definitely, or at least your end, was staticking, and then your voice wasn't in sync with your lips when you were talking. So there's definitely something trying to come through, something connecting as we speak.
That actually happened to you a couple of times.
And speaking of that as well, has anyone noticed, if you are on TikTok or if you ever watch videos on there? I don't know, Michael, if you use TikTok, when you're trying to film a video, so if I'm in the gym and I want to film a workout or something, I notice even other people's videos, their faces, as if when we're seeing each other right now, our faces are more stable unless the connection's off. But on TikTok, I notice, maybe certain other apps, I haven't realized of that yet, the face warps. It starts to move, and it's like if your mouth is like this, goes like a different wobbly, as if there's a different effect to the regular camera, and it wasn't there before. So I wonder if that's part of that AI trying to take over into manipulating our faces when we film videos and stuff. It's just something, a food for thought.
You know, that's interesting because most videos I watch are like pre recorded stuff or like people singing. So I'll definitely keep an eye out. I used to
Huh.
do little clips like promoting what's coming up for the week, and I just got so busy it's like I forgot to do them and just kind of stopped doing them. But what was funny though, as we're saying, how you were seeing, there was one point where you like almost looked like you froze, but then you started talking, but the words never stopped, and all of a sudden you're like this and go, like you had an entire conversation in like 5 seconds, and then you were like, and I was like, oh, we're back in sync.
Yeah, that's definitely energies connecting and pulling through. Even if there's any viewers in here, um, whoever's watching, they may even have an energy trying to reach into us right now. It may not be from our source, Michael, or from my end. It can also be someone in here that needs a message or something's trying to connect to somebody.
Yeah. So here's an interesting thing that you'll really get a kick out of is I have a friend who's an evidential medium, and we just recently started like doing a monthly mediumship session where whoever's in the audience or chat room, I should say, gets a reading. Well, we would be talking with people, and like we've done five. Two of them, she has messaged me and goes, "You need to go listen at this time slot." And I would listen at the time, and sure enough, there's another voice in on the like talking, but it's like, wait a minute, neither one of us are talking. Who's talking? Where? And it's like, wow, we're getting an EVP in a mediumship session on a computer. Now that's wild, because it's like that could be coming from anywhere.
Most definitely. They come in all different ways through our lights flickering, which I believe in the beginning, not too short after, or not too long after, my apologies, their light flickered a little bit. So there's definitely a nice something listening to us. Other than if you've heard any knocking sounds in the beginning of this podcast of the show, or the door creaking open, that was the cat. Other than that, I don't know what you're hearing on that side.
Well, that and all the I heard the cat communicating for a little while.
He definitely had a message for us. He wanted to be part of your show.
But I was like I was trying not to laugh as he was knocking stuff over, and then you're like stop. It kind of got him to stop, and then he's like, yeah, you turn, and he's like, hit it again. I was like, typical kid. Tell him not to. They're gonna do one more just to push
Oh,
and
he
see.
knows what he's doing. He came into my life, I say, very spiritually as well. When my other cat from last year in September passed away,
Oh, I'm
I
sorry.
it's okay. I somehow he went missing actually, and he hasn't come back since. So I know that I've seen him in dreams many times, and I've also seen his shadow in the house, and that's just confirmed to me that he's actually gone here. His job, his duty, his protection is done here, and now he's just full. He's always been full Lyrian energy, all the cats. And I already planned on getting Onyx before Bachi went missing as, companion for the house. He would have been 10 years old next February coming up. Other than that, my friend had purebred Siamese kittens, and out of the litter, just Onyx turned out to be pure black. I did request at the time to have one of the Siamese looking cats, but she made a mistake, and then somehow Onyx was left, and I said, it's fine, I'll still take him anyway. And I just really, a black cat, just randomly just showed up in my life, and I feel like it was just it's truly a blessing. Even though he can be a funny troublemaker, I feel like all cats always do that. But
Yeah.
he's just truly a blessing, and I see it as so much reasoning why he's here.
So I actually had a animal medium on my show, and I know that sounds really weird to say, but it's like he uses his mediumship gift to communicate with the animals. So it's really cool. And one of the things that he said, and I found was true because I had already thought it and we had experienced it, is when one pet leaves and you'll find yourself starting to be drawn towards another one, that's the first pet bringing you the next pet for your life who's going to be intertwined and the right fit for you. And it's like they're like going, okay, so this is how you do this. This is how you do this. This is what this means. And so it's like when you're looking and you're like, how do you know some things in advance of me training you or sharing them with you? He's like, it's because the other version told them. And so they come pre wired, almost, so to speak, for you and attuned to what you need. I thought that was pretty cool to hear, actually.
And I definitely agree with that. I feel with mediums that deal with animals, they're so amazing with the messages that they can come across from our pets. I did see this one medium lady that was connecting through animals through red balloons. I don't know if you've ever heard of her. I don't have her name. I just seen her pop up one time.
I
But
don't know that
she
I've
would
ever
connect
heard of it.
through, say, yeah, through red balloons. And I had an animal reading done for me a few times, and apparently there's a starseed special cat that always comes into my life even when I don't expect it. So that's also different. There's so many different ways that these animals are guides that are coming in, or someone from our past life that comes in and transforms into one of our pets.
Yeah.
Sometimes when you look into your pet's eyes, if you have a dog, a cat, any type of reptilian, a bird, and you speak with them, they understand us. But when we look deeper into their eyes and connect with them on a different level, you can really feel their presence and their energy and how they are connecting to us, and they feel like one of us as a human being, so to speak.
Oh yeah, and I'm hearing yours is saying, "Isn't it time to be done, Mom?" No, and actually, I just looked at the time. As we've been talking about time, just you know, being what it is, only here that it's like, yeah, it's already an hour and 42 minutes, and Jason, actually, Rob Gutro is who I was speaking of. He's the guest that I had. And so, yeah. Do you want to take some time and promote anything you got coming up or how people can find you?
Most definitely, if anybody would like to have communication with me or message me or add me, I'm most active on Facebook. I sometimes, if you see the link to TikTok, I'm on it here and there. I mainly just share my artwork online or my workout motivation videos. And if you just want to reach out to me at Luna Rose on Facebook, you can even reach out to me on Instagram. I have most of the resources for those who wish to connect with me. And if you need a reading done for yourself, just message me and I'll check the private message folders and we can go from there. And my readings are usually just donation based if anybody is open to that. And sometimes I give a little extra, and I just like to communicate and get message across. And I always do things for good reasoning. I also do water portraits in my paintings, and I do meditations with people as well, and just love to connect.
Yeah, I was meaning to ask, with the artwork, do you ever have like, I know somebody did for my parents, like this is what I see, and it was supposed to be like their star seed side in painting. And so I was kind of curious, if you get that kind of request or if people are like, hey, just, make me look silly, and like the typical, like you go to a fair and get a character done. Because you mentioned the word character. That's why I was thinking that.
Caricatures are something that I'm starting to do, to practice on doing because it's fun. And as for the spiritual aspect, when I do my mediumship reading, something that I just include in it is when I'm connecting to the spirit and I see the vision of who I'm connecting to, majority of that time, I haven't really had anybody tell me that it was wrong. I sketch out the face of who I'm seeing while I do the reading, and they're pretty accurate. This is what I use this art book for. I have paint drawings in here, or at least one drawing in here. I don't always keep them for myself. I feel that's a little invasive, so I just mail it out to the person if they
Wow.
choose to have it mailed out to. But I do a full sketch of the face within just within that time frame as I'm talking. So it's a quick sketch. So it's not going to be like the 100%, time consuming art, but it will be a portrait of a quick sketch of that face. It's almost as if you're looking on the news and they have sketches of a criminal or something, and that's
Right.
sketch. I sketch my visions, I sketch codes, and I also do painting portraits, watercolor of people's faces as well. And I'm practicing on painting animals as well, which I have one coming up that I need to complete this week. I also completed a sketch of someone's daughter that you will find on my Facebook profile that was mailed to her for her birthday. And I'm so glad she was happy because that was a fun gift for her to receive. Yeah, I do
Yeah,
things.
you're super talented. I'm amazed, and that's one of the reasons why I was so excited to talk with you. Is it's like, wow, get to know the person behind this inspiring work. And so thank you for that. And in all fairness, as you delivered a message for me, I actually have a message for you.
Thank you. Opening to it.
From my heart and the heart of my shows to you, thank you for what you're doing for humanity. Thank you for being you. Thank you for standing in your gifts and embracing them. And just, in all honesty, thank you for your authenticity.
I accept those messages, Michael. Thank you so much. Once again, as I mentioned in the beginning of your show, I am truly honored to be here on this show of yours. It is the first time that I've ever done something like this, and it's such a wonderful experience to and delightful to be talking to someone such as yourself that's into the paranormal world as well and truly understands and is open to learning together and to communicate. And I also learned things from you too tonight. So it's always great. This is why I love to connect with people. You never know what you're going to learn from someone's story or what they're going through. And I hope the same for myself to others. You're also an inspiration, I'm sure, to other investigators out there to dig in deeper and to keep doing what they're doing because paranormal investigating does take a lot of courage and it takes a lot of strength that many are afraid to do.
No, I agree. And thank you for that. And I will say, anytime you want to come on, you just let me know and we'll make it work and we'll find the time that works for both of us. And you are welcome back on anytime.
Thank you. I'll be looking forward to that. And before we go, I just want to point out to any new paranormal investigators that are out there, and not to tarnish anyone, but if you ever intend to use a Ouija board, please, I don't entail that myself because I never used one. But if you ever do out of your own curiosity, please be very, very careful. Be safe when you do your paranormal investigations and make sure that you don't treat it as a joke. Because I've seen some people make films and treat it as a joke and they run out of a haunted building. And that's just going to open up so many things that you don't know you're opening into another place without consent to the spirits that are actually supposed to, reside there or whatever it is that may be happening. So always be respectful and gift the spirits back, as they'll also do the same for you.
Yes, and I will just piggyback and add to the back of that is when you're done with the Ouija board, close the portals that you opened because, yes, in bringing that out and playing the game, you do open portals. I know it
Mhm.
doesn't say you do in the rules, but promise you you are. So do make sure to close anything that you open. And as an extra bonus, make sure before you close it, whatever you brought in goes back through so they don't get stuck on this side
Oh, most
and have to
definitely.
find another portal to go back.
It's very dangerous, and make sure you know what you're doing before you meddle with anything. And I just want to send everybody my love and light. And I pray for anyone that's sick and for anyone going through anything that they're going through to feel this energy. And I send it your way so you can get washed over with unlimited blessings, love, and lights, and keep yourself safe from any demonic energies.
Thank you.
We can envision that light wash over you and hope everybody has a wonderful, wonderful night or evening, wherever it is you are in the world. And I hope you have a wonderful sleep as well.
And I will wish everyone a wonderful week, and we will see you on the next episode. So, good night, everyone.
Good night. Thank you.